Join ForumIAS Academy, trusted by hundreds of toppers, including IAS Rank 1 𝐂𝐡𝐚𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐥 Sharma.
Hello everyone, welcome to ForumIAS. I'm 𝐂𝐡𝐚𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐥. In this video, we're going to discuss the Hindu analysis of today, that is 12th of September 2023. So these are the important articles that we're going to discuss today. So the first one is India's moment. So this is regarding our G20 and India's presidency. So this comes under our mains GS2 and that is under important international institutions. Second topic is ridding India of food insecurity. So this editorial comes under mains GS3, that is economy, that is under food security. And CBI does not require permission to probe pre-2014 cases too. So this comes under R for prelims GS1, and then we have launch of West Asia Economic Corridor is a historic step, and then water Pico flare jets. So these are the articles that we're going to discuss today. So let's get started. Here is our first one, that is India's moment. So as we have discussed, this is regarding our G20 summit. So we have seen regarding this G20 summit, we have discussed about this G20 summit, that is India has So this year we have the presidency of India. So for the year 2023, the G20 presidency is by India. And as we have discussed in yesterday's session, before India, it was Indonesia. So Indonesia handed over this G20 presidency to India, and India has handed over this to Brazil. So these are the three countries that you have to remember regarding G20 presidency. And as we have seen yesterday also, here we are going to discuss about the various outcomes of this G20 summit. So here we can see one important one is New Delhi Declaration. So this declaration, it made progress on cryptocurrency regulation. So cryptocurrency, it is a virtual currency and it is not controlled by any central bank. And for controlling or regulating this cryptocurrency, the initiatives or regulation of one single country may not be sufficient. So there must be a coordination between different countries of the world. So a global consensus is very much needed to control these kinds of cryptocurrencies. So, in this New Delhi declaration under this G20 summit, there was a progress that was made on this cryptocurrency regulation, and also it has crystallized a figure of nearly $10 trillion that is needed for climate change adaptation and mitigation projects, and also for the global south, although it failed to agree on any fossil fuel phase out deadlines. So, particular deadlines were not decided, but there was a figure of nearly $10 trillion that is needed for climate change. So, what are the various initiatives? So, if you look at the outcomes and various initiatives of this G20 summit, so first one is the admission of the 55-member African Union. So, this is very much important. Under this G20, African Union was added and it is a 55-member union. So, this corrected an imbalance so that so far only allowed the EU as a regional grouping in G20. So, under G20, if you look at, there were 19 countries plus one regional grouping, that is EU. So from now on, what happens? There is one more regional grouping, that is African Union, which consists of 55 members. Then we have Global Biofuel Alliance. So this is a very important step towards more research and delivery of alternative energy resources for a world which is still dependent on fossil fuels. So if you look at various countries of the world, we are still dependent on this fossil fuels. And as per this Global Biofuel Alliance, ethanol blending, it was given a lot of importance. Ethanol blending in petrol, this was given a lot of importance. And finally, an India, Middle East, Europe corridor. So this was with the promise of US investment, and this has lot of possibilities. And we'll also discuss about this India, Middle East, Europe corridor because it is very important. So both from prelims point of view and also from mains point of view. So we'll look at the geography on map what is this India, Middle East, Europe corridor, and Mr. Modi's decision to hold a virtual review meeting in November. So this was done because in the month of September, we have this G20 summit and some decisions were taken. So what is the progress that was made? Are the countries taking it seriously and are they taking any initiative regarding these discussions and decisions? This has to be found out. So for this purpose, our Prime Minister has said that we'll hold a virtual meeting in the end of November month. Right. So this will be before India gives up its presidency to Brazil. So this is a chance to ensure implementation and scrutiny of the decisions. Whatever decisions were made in the month of September, so they'll scrutinize whether there was any initiatives that were taken. So how is the implementation of those decisions? That kind of review will be done in the month of November. So this is what is dubbed as India's G20 moment. So this is about our first article, India's moment. So here we have the next one, that is ridding India of food insecurity. So food security is a very important topic from examination point of view. So a lot of questions were earlier asked on food security both in prelims and mains, especially in mains regarding this food security and National Food Security Act. These are very important from examination point of view. You have to know all the details. So here, coming to this ridding India of food insecurity. So what is the main gist of this article? Let's have a look at this editorial. So the rise in the price of food first accelerated sharply in the year 2019. So here we see that there was an increase in the food prices in the recent times, but this has actually started back in 2019 and it has increased in most of the years after this 2019, be it in 2020, 21, etc. Slowly it has increased after 2019. Right. So in the year 2019, it accelerated, it increased sharply. There was a sudden rise in this prices of food articles or food items, and then slowly it went on increasing in the upcoming years also. So in July this year, that is in 2023, annual inflation exceeded, that is it even crossed this 11%, and exceeding this 11%, this is highest in a decade, that is in the past 10 years. If you look at the data of past 10 years, this is the highest one, right? And the state of food security and nutrition in the world of FAO, so Food and Agricultural Organization, it releases this report, that is state of food security and nutrition in the world. So this is one point that is important for us from prelims point of view. You have to remember this. This is by FAO. It estimates the proportion of the population across countries unable to afford a healthy diet. Right. So for a healthy diet, which population, the proportion of population across various countries which is unable to afford a healthy diet. That means it will look at the data of different countries, like how much population is able to afford a healthy diet, how much proportion of the population is not able to afford even a healthy diet. This will be looked at. And if you look at the figure for India in 2021, it has estimated 74% of the population. That means if you take our population, if you take 1,000 people, 740 people cannot afford. For example, if you take 100 people, 74 members, they are not able to afford a healthy diet. Right? So this is a very large number, and the reduction in purchasing power is considerable, and it would be reasonable to expect that food consumption has been impacted. So due to inflation, what will happen? Purchasing power of people would definitely decrease. That means people are unable to buy the healthy diet, right? So they have some food consumption patterns, but this will be definitely impacted when there is inflation. So their purchasing power is less, and this would be in line with the reported rise in the prevalence of anemia, mostly induced by nutrient deficiency. So if there is nutrition deficiency, it will also lead to anemia. Right, and this was declared in the National Family Health Survey undertaken over 2019 to 2021. And over 50% of adult women were estimated to be anemic. So if you look at our population, half of our population, especially of adult women, so if you look at our entire population, half of our adult women are estimated to be anemic, right? So this is a glaring data that you have to remember. So ensuring that Indians have access to a healthy diet is the most important task of economic policy today, right? So our monetary policy or our economic policy, these have to be first focusing upon our food security, because you can see there was a lot of glaring differences in the healthy diet that people are unable to take. Right, half of our adult women are anemic, and 74% that we have seen over here, according to this report, 74% of the population cannot even afford a healthy diet. So we have to definitely take a lot of measures for this. And coming to the significance of green revolution over here, so till now we have seen a lot of problems that we are facing regarding food security. So what would be the solution for this? If you look at our past, we had this green revolution. So what happened during that green revolution? We have a lot of experience in this area. We have engineered a green revolution, and this was done back in 1960s itself, right? But this is not being tapped. So right now we have like an extreme food shortage following two successive droughts. So government orchestrated a supply side response by providing farmers with high yielding seed. So when the supply is less, that means food grains are not available, supply is less. So what the government has done is it has provided the farmers with high yielding seeds. That means the yield would be a lot more, yield would be given by the same crop by these high yielding seeds, and cheap credit was made available. So credit supply is also very important factor for the farmers to produce, and also assured prices through procurement. So even if they produce, if there is no proper pricing that they get, then if there is no assured prices, farmers would be at a loss. So government, what it has done is it has firstly provided high yielding seeds so that the production would be more, and then credit was provided at cheap rates, and then for the procurement, cheap assured prices were given. So this succeeded spectacularly, and within a few years, what happened? We were no longer dependent on any food imports. So this is what is the impact of green revolution at that time, right? But some mistakes were made in this green revolution. So what were those mistakes? If you look at some mistakes that were made, one is the use of chemical fertilizers. Right, so there was a rampant use of chemical fertilizers at that particular time during this green revolution. There was a use of chemical fertilizers, and also the focus was more on cereals more than on pulses. So pulses are a protein rich foods, so more than on pulses, what we have done is we have focused more on cereals, right? So right now, following all these, after all this green revolution, after we have gone through our past, like what are the achievements of green revolution, what are the mistakes that were done, we have a need for a second green revolution. This is a need of the hour, that is we need a green revolution so that we can control these prices of food. And then irrigation must be also provided, proper irrigation must be provided. And here the role of the states is very important. So this is one point that you have to remember, states play a very important role over here. So the center, along with these states, with the spirit of cooperative federalism, it has to move forward so that we can bring down the prices of this food articles or food items, so that we can ensure food security in our country, right? So this is about this article, reading India of food insecurity. So here you can see one previous year question that was asked on food security. So with reference to the provisions made under National Food Security Act of 2013, consider the following statements, and this question was asked in 2018. So these are the statements that we have. So here the correct answer is B, that is the eldest woman in a household aged 18 years or above shall be the head of the household for the purpose of issuance of a ration card. So here you have to see the importance of National Food Security Act of 2013. So please do go through the provisions of this act. And also mains PYQ. In what way could replacement of price subsidy with direct benefit transfer change the scenario of subsidies in India? So in this way, questions can be definitely asked in different ways on food security. So be prepared with this. So why are we discussing this previous year questions? This is being done so that you'll get to know how questions can be asked on a particular topic. So coming to the next one, CBI does not require permission to probe pre-2014 cases to, says Supreme Court. So we'll have a look at this article. So Constitution Bench, it has held that a Supreme Court judgment of 2014 which declared invalid a legal provision mandating our CBI to take prior permission before investigating this corruption cases against senior government officials, it has a retrospective effect. Right. So there was a judgment back in 2014. So what did this judgment do? So in the 2014, whatever judgment was given by the Supreme Court, it said that a legal provision which mandates, there is a provision that says that if CBI wants to investigate any senior government officials for corruption cases, for example, any senior government official is involved in corruption, and if CBI wants to investigate that particular person, that is a senior government official, then the CBI has to take prior permission, right? So it cannot directly go and investigate that particular senior government official. It has to take a prior permission. So this is what is a legal provision that was present. And this 2014 judgment, what it has done is, it has declared that this provision is invalid. That means it, it is not necessary to take this prior permission. So this will have a retrospective effect. So we'll look at what is this, right? So Section 6A of this Delhi Special Police Act, that is Delhi Special Police Establishment Act. This is also equally important. You have to remember this because this is mentioned in today's article. So regarding our Delhi Special Police Establishment Act, under this we have Section 6A. So this Section 6A, it violated fundamental rights. And once a law is declared to be unconstitutional, being violative of Part 3 of the Constitution, then it will be held to be void ab initio, stillborn, unenforceable. Right? So here the Section 6A of Delhi Special Police Establishment Act, it was said to be violating our fundamental rights. And as we know, fundamental rights comes under which part? It is Part 3 of the Constitution. So what happens if a particular section or a law is considered to be declared to be unconstitutional? What will happen? What will happen is it will be held to be void ab initio. So these types of phrases are important for us from examination point of view. So what does void mean? Void means it has no more legal effect. Right, so it will have no more legal effect. And what does this ab initio mean? It means from the beginning. So this entire term, it means that it will have no legal effect from the beginning. Void is not having any legal effect. Ab initio is from the beginning. So this is one important term that you have to remember. So this means that senior government officials who are involved in this corruption cases, even before the date of Supreme Court judgment of 2014, invalidating the need for the prior sanction, it would no longer be able to avail the protection of prior approval. So this is how a retrospective effect was given, right? And a declaration made by the Constitution Bench judgment in this Dr. Subramanian Swamy case of 2014, it will also have a retrospective operation. So Section 6A of Delhi Special Police Establishment Act, it is not in force from the day of its insertion, that is September 11, 2003, because it was declared to be void ab initio. That is, it is not having a legal effect since the beginning. And coming to one more important article, that is Article 21, Clause 1, which mandated that a person should only be convicted under law which was in force at the time of the crime and had no applicability or relevance to the validity or invalidity of Section 6A of Delhi Special Police Establishment Act. So what do we have under Article 20, Clause 1? For example, a person has committed a crime in 2020. Right. So in the year 2020, a person has committed a crime. So that person should be convicted under the law at that time. In 2020, there was a law. But in 2022, an amendment was made. and a new rule was brought about. And the hearing of this case, it has come for hearing in 2023. So crime was done in 2020. At that time, there was some rules and regulations and laws. And in 2022, some amendments were made and new rules were brought about. And in 2023, that person is being investigated. So even though he is being investigated in 2023, the law that was present in 2020, only these rules apply to him. The new rules won't be applicable. Okay, so this is what you have to remember regarding Article 20, Clause 1. So this is about this article. So coming to our next article, that is launch of West Asia Economic Corridor. This is a historic step. So here we have to look at the geography of Saudi Arabia and also about our India, Middle East, Europe and economic corridor. So we'll also have a look at the map because this will be very important from prelims point of view. So question can be definitely asked from map pointing. So here we have this India, Middle East, Europe economic corridor. So here you can see this is India, right? So from here it will be connecting India to Arabian Gulf through ship route, that is through sea route, right? So from India to this Arabian Gulf, it will be through shipping, that is through sea route, right? And from here it will be connecting to Europe through train, that is through railways, right? And then from here again from this Jordan. Here we have Jordan, this is Israel. From here we'll be having again a shipping route. And here we have this country, Italy. Right, and then we have here this is France and this is Germany. So this connectivity is right from India till Germany. And here what are we connecting? So here for some distance we are using sea routes, for some distance we are using railways, and then from here we are using shipping, that is sea routes again, and here we can use land routes. So in this way, India Middle East Europe Economic Corridor was planned. So this is a very important corridor, right? So there are a lot of implications wherein you can see that regional connectivity. So here you can see one important outcome of this would be the improvement in the regional connectivity between these countries. And one more thing is, here you can see we have Pakistan. Right, so we can skip Pakistan and from here we can have all our transport of various goods, etc. Skipping this route through Pakistan. Right, and also we know about this Belt and Road Initiative of China. So this is also considered to be a kind of transport corridor which will play a very important role globally, especially the regional connectivity between this Middle East, Europe, and India. So, what will happen if these kinds of corridors are opened? The trade between these countries would definitely improve, and also the collaboration between the countries improves, right? So when trade develops, regional connectivity develops, and also the collaboration between these countries will definitely improve. And also there would be obviously economic growth would be present, and also the cooperation between these countries would improve, and there would be a lot of connectivity, be it digital connectivity would also increase between these countries. So these are various positive outcomes of this India Middle East Europe economic corridor. So here if you look at Saudi Arabia, it was said to be one of the most important strategic partners of India by our Prime Minister. So here we'll look at the geography of Saudi Arabia. So here we have India, and here we'll be having Saudi Arabia. Sorry, it's not this. So here we'll be having Saudi Arabia. So here you can see that over here. This is our Saudi Arabia. That is to be exact, it will be here. Right. So this is Saudi Arabia and its capital Riyadh. So here you can see we have Gulf of Oman over here. This is a Persian Gulf. This is Arabian Sea, and here we have the Red Sea. And you have to also remember the neighboring countries like Yemen, we have Oman, we have UAE, Iraq, Jordan, etc. Right. So whenever a country is in news, you have to go through its geography. What are the various water bodies surrounding it? What are the neighboring countries of that particular country which is in news? So this will play an important role for us from map pointing point of view for prelims. So here you can see one more important thing regarding Gulf Cooperation Council, so we'll get back to this. So, 2 days after the launch of this India Middle East Europe Economic Corridor, our Prime Minister described Saudi Arabia as one of the important strategic partners of India. This is why we have looked at the location of Saudi Arabia. So, earlier we have took a historic step to connect India, West Asia, and Europe. So, we have seen that particular corridor on map also, right? We have used shipping and also railways and also land route for this corridor. And apart from connecting these two countries, that is India and Saudi Arabia, it will also help in increasing this economic growth, energy sector, and also for digitization, that is digital connectivity would improve. And here, one more important thing is India Saudi Strategic Partnership Council. So, Mr. Modi and Prince bin Salman, they have also co chaired the first meeting of India Saudi Strategic Partnership Council. So, you have to remember this SPC, which would be important from examination point of view. And also Saudi Arabia, it recently became a member of BRICS during this Johannesburg summit. So all these are prelims pointers that you have to remember. Right, so the first meeting of SPC was held, and also Saudi Arabia became a member of BRICS, and this was done during the Johannesburg summit. And the discussion focused on defense, energy, security, education, etc., and also various areas of possible cooperation. And there was a trilateral project. That means both sides they extended full support to this West Coast refinery project. So this is a trilateral project between these companies. And for this, $50 billion was already earmarked. And also they have agreed to work on India GCC free trade agreement. That is our Gulf Cooperation Council. So we'll get back to Gulf Cooperation Council. So also one more agreement was sealed between Central Vigilance Commission CVC of India and Saudi Overnight and Anti-Corruption Authority, and another one between Saudi and Indian Exim Banks and National Institute of Technology NIT of India and Saline Water Conversion Corporation of Saudi Arabia. They have also signed an agreement. So coming to this GCC, that is Gulf Cooperation Council. Earlier, we had a question back in 2016 in prelims. Which one of the following is not a member of Gulf Cooperation Council? So here you can see the correct answer is A. Iran is not a member. We have Saudi Arabia, Oman, Kuwait, etc. So in yesterday's discussion, we have seen that there was a question on the members of G20. And here you can see the members of GCC, that is Gulf Cooperation Council. So why are we looking at such previous year questions? So you have to understand the importance of remembering the member countries. So first of all, you have to know how many member countries are present. So the number of member countries. And then you have to remember the names of all those countries. Only then you can answer these kinds of questions. So here you can see the members of our Gulf Cooperation Council GCC. So we have Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, then United Arab Emirates and Oman. So we do not have Iran over here or Iraq over here. So Iran, Iraq are not present. Right. So these are the countries of Gulf Cooperation Council. So try to remember the member countries of such groupings. And coming to our last article for today, what are pico flare jets? So we're going to discuss about this pico flare jets now. So this is important from our science and technology point of view. So these are small jets of charged particles that were being expelled in intermittent fashion from the outer regions of sun's outer atmosphere. These were detected recently. So this was done by our these observations they were done by solar orbiter aircraft. So we'll also discuss about this solar orbiter aircraft. So before that, for now, remember, so this particular solar orbiter aircraft, so it has made this detections of small jets of charged particles. So in intermittent fashion, that means from time to time, it is expelling some charged particles. So from the outer regions of our sun's atmosphere, these charged particles are being expelled. So they were emerging at a supersonic speed, and the expulsions lasted for these many seconds at a time. So these small scale picoflare jets, so they were observed within emissions from the coronal hole under the observation. So this solar orbiter aircraft, so which is observing this coronal hole under, which is under observation, so it has made these observations of these emissions that were made, that is emissions of small jets of charged particles. Actually they were lasted only for a few dozen seconds, but scientists calculated that they provide enough energy to supply a considerable fraction of solar winds. So though they lasted only for a few dozens of seconds, they provide lot of energy. So that is enough to supply a considerable fraction of solar winds. That is, some part of solar winds could be provided energy by these jets of charged particles, that is picoflare jets. And these jets from the sun are named so. So why are these named as picoflare jets? So because they carry approximately 1 trillion the energy of the largest flares the sun is capable of producing. So this pico flares, that is pico is here, it is approximately 1 trillionth the energy of largest flares the sun is capable of producing. So if the sun is capable of producing the largest flare, right, so if you consider this to be the largest flare the sun is capable of producing, this pico flare is 1 trillionth of that. So that is why it is called as, it is named as pico flare jets. So what about the solar orbiter aircraft? So this was launched back in 2020. So it is a collaboration between various space agencies like NASA, etc. So it will take the images of the sun from closer than any spacecraft before, right? So if you compare with the other spacecrafts before, it will be taking the images of the sun from a very close distance, and it consists of 6 remote sensing instruments and 4 sets of in situ instruments. So what is the objective of the solar orbiter aircraft? So it is to observe sun's 11-year cycle of rising and subsiding magnetic activity. So our sun's magnetic activity, it will rise and subside in 11 years. So there is a 11-year cycle. So this cycle would be observed by this aircraft, and also it is to study the upper layer of atmosphere, that is the corona. So these are the important articles for today. So here you can see the sun's pole. So this is the solar wind that you can see over here. So this is the open earth magnetic field. So this is basically the polar region of the sun, right? So here you can see in this way, near the coronal hole, some jets are being ejected out. So these are the important articles for today. So hope you have liked this video. So please do follow us on various social media platforms. And if you like this video, please do like, share and subscribe to Forum IAS. Thank you so much for watching this video. Bye bye.